Gonna be able to do this to the Undertaker.
No way!
Hey, it's a Toxic Reign scandal featuring TBK, the Turnbuckle King. Got another good one for you guys today. We're going to talk about the worst match in Super-Showdown history. What am I talking about? I am talking about the match back in 2019 between Goldberg and The Undertaker. Now, the match we thought was supposed to be a one-on-one legendary between two legends who have earned their respective careers despite by talent, popularity, all of that. Both of these guys are Hall of Famers. I know The Undertaker was a Hall of Famer later in 2022, but Goldberg in this match was already a Hall of Famer. He got inducted to Hall of Fame back in 2018, and he's also the first person in WWE history to become a Hall of Fame inducted and also become later on a world champion, meaning win the Universal Championship on two separate occasions. But we're not talking about his world championship runs. We're talking about this particular match, how this match turned into a disaster. It went from being a legendary match, but it ended up becoming a legendary disaster. And thing about it is, this match it has some hype to it. You know, thing about it is, we're talking about this match. Thing about this match, why it was one disaster, is because it was a dream match, and it seemed like it got to an okay start. But thing about it is, Undertaker Goldberg could have suffered permanent injuries, but still finished the match. This was a very, very risky match. Very risky match. Also, I want to name too that this match was not just about two guys having a dream match. This particular match was based on, let's call it what it is, the big payoff, the big paycheck. Because this was in Saudi Arabia, and people know that when legendary guys at this particular time was wrestling in Saudi Arabia, like The Undertaker, Goldberg, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Brock Lesnar, you name it. We know they was there mostly for the check because Saudi Arabia paid big money. They signed a deal with WWE back in 2018 for a 10-year deal, and they paid big money to WWE. But thing about it is, it was in 2019. It was supposed to be a dream match between two legends. They never had a match before. We're talking one of WCW's best in Goldberg and one of WWE's best in The Undertaker. Now, you would think on paper this looks good, but it ended up turning to a whole nother story. It went from being billed as a legendary match, dream match, and it became a botch fest, to say the least. It turned into this, and that's the crazy part about it. Not only that, these guys are way past their prime. Undertaker in his 50s, Goldberg in his 50s. Both look good physical shape, but they say that despite having a great physical shape, they say despite, being together, also ring rust is, and being in that ring is a whole different story within itself. And Goldberg and Undertaker, we know, were not full-timers at this point in their career. They were not even part-timers, seasonal. We'll call them seasonal wrestlers at this time. But most of their best matches of even Goldberg, most of their best matches were behind him. Goldberg, I think this is his first match in 2 years since he wrestled Brock Lesnar. Also, Undertaker, this was his first match, I believe, since the 2018 Crown Jewel between the Brothers of Destruction, himself and Kane, taking on Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Another disastrous story, a disastrous match within itself, also in Saudi Arabia. So Undertaker, he wanted to wipe the clean slate, make it up for that match, not just for himself, but for the fans. And he did with Goldberg. A lot of promos headed to this match, but it seemed like when they went toe to toe, it was just one thing after another. Goldberg first, he knocked himself into the ring post, started bleeding. Then Goldberg hit his spears, even looked weak. And then later he hit the Botched Jackhammer. And Undertaker too. This is not just all a knock on Goldberg. Undertaker messed up too. Undertaker also botched that tombstone pile driver. He did drop Goldberg on his head, but both of these guys, it was just no good. Like I said, both of these things happened. And the thing about it is, it just became. I mean, it's one word to describe this match. It's not legendary. It's not even disastrous. It's just dangerous. It was a dangerous match. Dangerous. So with that being said, I will go further into there'll be interviews talk about this match. I know Stevie Richards himself talks about a very good breakdown of this particular match in his YouTube channel, What Went Wrong Between Undertaker and Goldberg. He breaks it down to a T, and then Undertaker will even we'll hear a little bit from him when he mentions in his last ride interview. They will play, then show what actually happened. So it just, if you guys remember this match, before we get into it, let's see. Carl Myers, salute, welcome. Yes, we back, definitely back. But this was crazy how this went down. This was not safe. I mean, one thing after another.
Undertaker whipped across the ring, hits the turnbuckle hard. Here comes Goldberg. Nobody hardly posted. Just one knockout.
And you can see Goldberg went very hard into that ring post. Like I said, before we get into all that, I will see what we're gonna see interviews about it, and we'll actually pull up Stevie Richards right now. This is Stevie Richards, former wrestler. He's known for being in ECW, WWE. He does a YouTube channel called Stevie Richards Wrestling Analysis. Great channel. Much credit to Stevie Richards. He breaks down things perfectly. I know he broke down to one of the matches in AEW, and it got so bad they even they forced him to pull down his video because I guess AEW was getting exposed so bad. But much credit to him. He's a great channel. I want to react to see what he has to say. He's going to talk about this match perfectly. And I will say perfectly how he talks about this match, because someone needs to talk about this match, and it's not all, like I said before, it's not all a knock on Mr. Bill Goldberg. It's on Undertaker as well. So let's get into that right now. Like, subscribe as you come into the locker room, because we definitely airing dirty laundry tonight. Let's air that dirty laundry. Let's get it going. So if you guys don't know, for the like button, hit the three dots at the top, at the right-hand corner, and hit the like button. So let's get that going real quick, and then we'll get into the interview there. All right, let's get into Stevie Richards talking about this match, and his analysis is what went wrong. And definitely a lot went wrong in this one. So let's see what Mr. Stevie Richards had to say. Lock, hello there. Yes, salute to you, man. Welcome to the locker room. Hit the like button. You come into the locker room, everybody. So let's get into it. All right. This is Stevie Richards on his podcast. Stevie Richards announced on his YouTube channel. He will talk about this dangerous match between Undertaker and Goldberg. So let's see what he has to say about it.
Jackhammer was super scary. We're going to take a look at that specific spot and also talk about an overarching theme, because people were saying, well, who's to blame? Goldberg, Undertaker, a little bit of both. My guess, and my educated guess, is Father Time is to blame for this, and I'm going to explain that at the end of this video. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about right from the beginning, before the match even begins, before Goldberg enters the arena, he's already concussed. Right here, as you look, he's already got a little cut right there on his head.
Now, that's a good way of him breaking that down. I didn't even realize that watching this match back. I just recently watched this match myself. I did see that Goldberg had a little cut on there. So he already, and Steve Richards going to get into that. That's from for the people that follow Goldberg, banging his head everywhere as part of his gimmick. He already bruised himself up before the match even began, so pretty much was a very bad start to a match. Goldberg wasn't even physically 100%. He already was bruised up there. Could have concussed himself, but like I said, I'll let Stevie Richards talk more about it. I just wanted to mention that myself too. Great point, Stevie Richards. Great point.
And I've witnessed it firsthand. Goldberg headbutting walls, headbutting doors, headbutting soda machines to psych himself up before each and every match. So by this point, at 52 years old, how many times, how many concussions has Goldberg suffered? And now my guess is he's already concussed before he even leaves the locker room, and it's already a recipe for disaster. So here's a spot where the theme is exactly the same when it comes to Goldberg. And I don't know, just that football player in him to just charge straight ahead and throw his head first in everything. And that's exactly what he did right here. He literally hit the turnbuckle or that bolt right there with his head. You can see his head actually hit the actual ring post. It's just crazy. I mean, he just knows one speed, full force ahead, and he was going for what I think is a shoulder block, which means he should have really hit his shoulder into the post, but just head first right there. And just, I mean, if he wasn't concussed from the headbutt or whatever he did in the locker room, he's fully concussed, and you'll see in a second, he is gushing blood. It is just unfortunate, a series of unfortunate events when it comes to this match. Here's an example you see right here. Bill is completely split wide open here.
Another good thing Steve Richards said too, since he did run to that turnbuckle, as I explained a few minutes prior, this is the very beginning of the match. This is not the middle of the match. This is not near the finish. This is at the very beginning. He's already bruised himself up, despite the cut that he showed backstage when Goldberg had his legendary entrance by security guards. So this is not good. If you're getting bruised like that beginning of the match, honestly, this match should have had a very, very quicker finish than it should already have. Because the fact of the matter is, this was not a long match at all. Because we know that Goldberg's known for having very short matches due to the fact his lack of wrestling ability. We know that. But the thing about it is, this was supposed to be a hyped up match, and I know they had to make a contract deal with Saudi Arabia. This match honestly should have been no more than 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes the most. This match exactly was 9 minutes and 35 seconds, and it shouldn't even went on that long because of the, as you can see, as Stevie Richards said, Goldberg's already busted up at the very beginning of the match. So Goldberg, he has that same problem that I see Braun Breaker even has. Braun Breaker, who's similar to the Goldberg gimmick or Inspire gimmick, he runs too fast, and he popped himself on the one of NXT PLEs, which was, I think, Vengeance Day, right before he went to the main roster. Braun Breaker did the same thing Goldberg did. He didn't run to the turnbuckle, but he did run too fast between the ropes, and he cut himself up. So it's just that adrenaline, that fast speed. It's good to have that while you're in the ring, you're going, but it also could be a double-edged sword. You can end up nicking yourself when you don't have to. But let's continue on to see what Stevie Richards has to say regarding this whole thing, because he is definitely on point. He's definitely on point what he's saying right now, because it makes perfect sense of why Goldberg is bruised up early on in the match, which is, of course, not a good look. So let's continue on to see what Stevie Richards has to say.
He is gushing blood. Looks great on the show, but it's really a dire situation. He probably doesn't even know where he is. He can't see. We've talked about concussions, and we're going to do a dedicated video about what it feels like to get a concussion when you're in a ring, professional wrestling. It doesn't feel great. I talked about the Bret Hart video with Goldberg and how the lights, the crowd noise, everything, when you have a concussion or even a migraine, not even a concussion, is just debilitating. And at this point, Bill seems to be completely out of it. And you'll see as the match progresses, it gets much worse. So now we're going to look at Undertaker and how good he still is at 54 years old. Keep these ages, by the way, in mind. Undertaker 54, Goldberg 52, and we're going to explain Father Time being undefeated at the end of this video. But Father Time is not going to beat Undertaker at being a great worker no matter what age he is. Look at the punches here. Nice punch. Nice camera cut, by the way, by the production team. Punches are great. Right there, easy. Boot right there. Also, just as smooth as anything. For a guy his size, almost 7 feet tall, to make it look great and not do any further damage to Goldberg. He could kick Goldberg right in the head if he wanted to, because Goldberg, that's the way he wrestles. Hit me as hard as you want, but it's not Undertaker style at all, whether it's the punches or, in this case, that kick right there to the side of the head. So I want to put this over as well is the old school, meaning Undertaker will climb to the top rope, walk the ropes, and then come down with a forearm onto his opponent. He can do this at 54 years old. I think he can do it at 64, 74, 84. I couldn't do it at 24, 34, 44, nor right now at 52. It takes athleticism. It takes balance. It takes a lot to be able to do this, especially, like I said before, almost 7 feet tall, to be able to walk the ropes, stand right there, then jump off and hit Goldberg right there. Just incredible. Especially Undertaker with knee injuries, back injuries, all that stuff, to still jump off. And it's incredibly impactful to jump off of this top rope and land down like that and not blow your knees out, no matter who you are. So here's the first of 2 choke slams during this match. And Goldberg, I can tell, is incredibly out of it. He's concussed. And I know for a fact, because watch this. Choke slam. And then when it goes up, look at where Goldberg's arm is right here. His arm is here instead of posting off of Undertaker to get the height and take a back bump like that. That's why the choke slam had no height to it. You see right there? It's almost like a front face lock type thing with Goldberg, and Taker's got to literally lift him up right here by his tights to get any kind of height. And of course, Goldberg should be kicking his legs up a little more, combined with the post right here of the elbow and the hand on the shoulder. Even if he had his elbow and he was able to push up like that to get a little bit more height, he could, but he's concussed. He's not with it. I don't even think Goldberg, just my guess, remembers half, if not all of this match, because he was knocked out from the locker room, whatever he headbutted the door or the wall, and then putting his head right into the ring post. He's got to be hurting, if not completely out of it. Still lands flat. I got to give it to him. Undertaker really took care of him on the choke slam and put him down right there. And Goldberg doesn't appear to hit his head that time, thank God. So here's a spot, a double down spot, where basically Goldberg will duck Undertaker's clothesline, and then they will clothesline each other at the same time. And it'll be what we call a double down, where both guys are down, ref counts, and they slowly get up. It could have been much worse. I looked at this close, and imagine if the ring ropes broke on this. Watch his arm. Look at Goldberg's hand right there. What you want to do is reach for the rope, hook it, and then run back, or just have your hand on the rope, because if this top rope right here breaks and you're not holding on like Goldberg, look, he's got his arm, his hand's not even gripping the rope. If that rope breaks right here on his back, he better hope he backflips over there. I've seen it happen before. If not, this entire part of his head, or he's going to hit the top of his head, he's going to break his neck. There's no question about it. It's extremely dangerous. And in wrestling school, that's why they tell you, take this hand, grip this rope, because God forbid if that top rope breaks or any of the ropes break, you're able to hang on, maybe do a flip, or at least collapse onto the ring apron. So it could have went really, really wrong, much more wrong than what you've seen during this match. So here is the Jackhammer. Everybody who's watched this match cringes at this particular move. This was very, very close. As a matter of fact, Undertaker discusses this on the WWE YouTube channel, on WWE Network, talking about it in a documentary fashion about how close it was and how much pain he was in. But thank God, nothing permanent, nothing tragic. He wasn't paralyzed, nothing like that. His back was very jacked up from this jackhammer here. And you can see it's essentially a brain buster. I mean, that's about as close as you can get. That's scary.
And what's so crazy about that is that he could have really broke the Undertaker's neck, and not only permanent damage, he could have ended his career, let alone his life. We've seen this happen before. If you old wrestling fans out there remember Droz, he just passed away last year. He was paralyzed from the neck down from a botched move where it had ended up resulting in him breaking his neck. So thank goodness that did not happen to the Undertaker, because Goldberg, I'm telling you, he was inches away from breaking Undertaker's neck. I mean, if you guys remember this clip, this was just nasty. It was nasty how he
Gonna be able to do this to the Undertaker.
No way!
Oh my God! Goldberg.
So yeah, he barely was able to get the jackhammer up, and that was in the middle of the match. But Undertaker, I mean, he knew he couldn't get Undertaker up. He could have did some more spears. That's what he's doing throughout the match anyway. So that's how I say that was just definitely botched at its finest. Andrew Tate says, "Is this guy still talking about Super Showdown from years ago?" Yeah, it's a Super Showdown from 2019. Am I dripping, or there has been Super Showdown in a while? No, it has been no Super Showdown since 2020. No, sorry. I want to say no. That was not the last Super Showdown. I believe the final Super Showdown, I believe it was maybe 2020, 2022. But it hasn't been one in quite some time, no. Definitely hasn't. I think the last one was 2020. They only did it 3 years in a row. 18, this one's 19 and 20. Uncle Jackie, salute to you. Welcome, man. Appreciate you coming to the locker room. Yeah, crazy, right, Uncle Jackie? Man could have got his neck broke, but yeah. Steve Rich is doing a very good breakdown of this. And he breaks down other stuff like this too. But yeah, this was very, very fatal. And I'm glad that neither man, Undertaker or Goldberg, was able to still move all their body parts, and they not to get carried out, in an ambulance, let alone today. Fast forward 2024, 5 years removed from this match, as you said a while back. Thank goodness that neither one of them are in a walker, in a wheelchair, or paralyzed from neck down, like I mentioned, Droz. So thank goodness, these men can still walk on their own accord today, because it could have got much, much worse. It could have went from too worse to much, much worse and uglier. So thank goodness for that. But like I said, Stevie Richards, I'm gonna let him continue on. And I know the referee that was in that match, if you guys remember, he's not with WWE anymore. He was released due to budget cuts back in 2021 COVID era. Mike Chioda, he talks about this match too, because he was the referee assigned to this match. So he also mentioned this as well. And Booker T also mentioned about it too. This was a very dangerous match, one of the most dangerous matches between two popular, legendary wrestlers in the names of The Undertaker and Goldberg. So let's continue on. I think Steve Richards is halfway done through this analysis. I think he has another 7-8 minutes to go, but he is spot on. He's mentioned things that I didn't even notice at first. And it makes sense, because Stevie Richards is a retired professional wrestler. So he would notice more than the average person would. But he's doing a great job, though, breaking this down. Let's continue on to see what this man has to say regarding this match at Super Showdown between Undertaker and Goldberg. Yeah, he barely survived. Yeah. Literally inches away from his neck being broke. So thank goodness for that. But let's continue on.
Scary. And Goldberg couldn't get him over. I mean, I don't know if it's because of the concussion. I don't know if it's because of being winded. I don't know why this happened, but I wish they just would have cut it out or cut the match short, or had Goldberg do a bunch more spears maybe. But then again, Goldberg was planting his head on the spears as well, so he could have knocked himself out multiple times before this, and it was really just a super scary bump. And I thank God the Undertaker's okay. I thank God that Bill Goldberg's okay too for all the injuries he sustained before and during the match. So let's talk about Father Time in more detail and how Father Time is undefeated. We hear about it in pro sports all the time. Wrestling never gets kind of the same credibility or the same look credibility wise as football, baseball, basketball, all these other supposed real sports. But when you're training to be a pro wrestler, you're beating your body up. You're conditioning your body to take a beating. Even when I suffered injuries as a full-time wrestler in my 20s and 30s, it took at least 2 to 3 weeks of full-time work, house shows, TV, training in the ring, just to get ready to get back into the groove of working full-time. I was winded every single night. Everything hurt. Everything was sore. And that's in my 20s and 30s. In my late 40s, as my career was winding down, I was trying to still train to stay in ring shape. But I found that most times the training, there was no sweet spot or balance to keep my wind up, to keep my conditioning up, to take falls, what we call bumps in the ring. It just, everything hurt because in a school, there's no energy, there's nobody there, and you're essentially working for dead air. No crowd cheering, booing, doing ad stuff. And the energy from the crowd is what makes us do most of what we can do that you normally wouldn't do in a regular situation. But as you get older, in this case, Goldberg and Undertaker, like I said, 54, Undertaker, Goldberg, 52 years old at the time of this match. And they did train. They were in incredible shape. They looked amazing, but there's wear and tear and even training to get ready for a singular match. And it just isn't the same as full-time work, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Time off is not your friend. Time off is your enemy. But of course, in your 50s, you can't wrestle 5 days a week, 7 days a week, even 2 to 3 or 4 days a week. Your body will just break down too quickly and will not recover. That's why when people blame Goldberg or say, oh, it was Goldberg's fault, Goldberg's the worst worker ever, it's not necessarily true. Sure, Bill knocked himself out before he even came out of the dressing room. Bill knocked himself out hitting his head into the ring post. But essentially, both guys are suffering from Father Time being undefeated. Now, a few million dollars, that Jackhammer was super scary. We're going to take a look at that specific in the ring. It just supposed on how Father Time is undefeated. We hear about it in pro sports.
Well, a polite way of him saying this, Goldberg did botch that jackhammer, no doubt about it. But he's not going to say it, I'll do. And I love The Undertaker, one of the best ever to do it, the best big man ever. But you guys let me know right now. Undertaker botched that tombstone pile driver. If you guys remember this part in the match, this was right before Undertaker chokeslammed it and counted 1, 2, 3.
Power of the dead man, center of the ring. Tombstone pile driver.
He dropped Goldberg on his head, so he botched too. It wasn't just Goldberg messed up; he messed up too. So we gotta call it out. And I like the Undertaker. Like I said, Undertaker the best, one of the best ever. But I know Steve Redd saying Father Time, which is true, and that's what he means by leading up to Undertaker as well botching as well as Goldberg. But Undertaker was pretty out of it too. I mean, this is after the man was. This was a crazy part in the match. These guys are winded out already. Now, was it like the Goldberg as bad as a botch? No, but it still was a botch nonetheless. So the thing about it is, like Stevie was saying, these guys are way older. They can't wrestle in their prime. Honestly, the way this match is looking, the way the analysis broke it down, they should even had this match. It should have got postponed, but due to Saudi Arabia and they call it blood money that was given to both of them, especially Goldberg. Our Goldberg had a nice payoff as well as Undertaker. They got a couple mil. They had to finish the match according to contract. I'm pretty sure it beats breach of contract, whatever the case may be. But I know they had to do what they had to do. So that's what Steve Richards mean. But like I said, Undertaker was not perfect either. And there could be. I think that Tombstone was after he was dropped, maybe because he was after dropped on his neck. I think that was before the jackhammer. Might have been before after the jackhammer. I don't think it was before. I think it was after the jackhammer. So it could be a reason why he was out like that. But let's Stevie Rich continue on, and there'll be more people that talk about this match too.
Sports all the time. Wrestling never gets kind of the same credibility or the same look credibility-wise as football, baseball, basketball, all these other supposed real sports. But when you're training to be a pro wrestler, you're beating your body up. You're conditioned. All these other supposed real sports. But when you're training to be a pro wrestler, you're beating your body up. You're conditioning your body to take a beating. Even when I suffered injuries as a full-time wrestler in my 20s and 30s, it took at least 2 to 3 weeks of full-time work, house shows, TV, training in the ring, just to get ready to get back into the groove of working full-time. I was winded every single night. Everything hurt. Everything was sore. And that's in my 20s and 30s. In my late 40s, as my career was winding down, I was trying to still train to stay in ring shape. But I found that most times the training, there was no sweet spot or balance to keep my wind up, to keep my conditioning up, to take falls, what we call bumps in the ring. It just, everything hurt, because in a school, there's no energy, there's nobody there, and you're essentially working, for dead air. No crowd cheering, booing, doing ad stuff. And the energy from the crowd is what makes us do most of what we can do that you normally wouldn't do in a regular situation. But as you get older, in this case, Goldberg and Undertaker, like I said, 54, Undertaker, Goldberg, 52 years old at the time of this match. And they did train. They were in incredible shape. They looked amazing, but there's wear and tear and even training to get ready for a singular match. And it just isn't the same as full-time work, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Time off is not your friend. Time off is your enemy. But of course, in your 50s, you can't wrestle 5 days a week, 7 days a week, even 2 to 3 or 4 days a week. Your body will just break down too quickly and will not recover. That's why when people blame Goldberg or say, oh, it was all Goldberg's fault, Goldberg's a horrible worker, he's the worst worker ever, it's not necessarily true. Sure, Bill knocked himself out before he even came out of the dressing room. Bill knocked himself out hitting his head into the ring post. But essentially, both guys are suffering from Father Time being undefeated. Now, a few $1 million from Saudi Arabia, even with my spine not quite fused yet, recovering from a severe spine infection, you offer me enough money to work in Saudi Arabia, I might take it too if I can set my family up for life or set my family up for multi-generational wealth. That's a risk that any wrestler would probably be willing to take. And that's part of the reason they did it. I'm sure they never wrestled each other, so it was a first time ever thing. It was very exciting. But the millions of dollars you're getting paid, it's not so bad either. And once again, they got the millions of dollars, but if they both or one of them suffered permanent injuries, that would not be worth it. So that's why, thank God, that they're both okay, and they both made a boatload of money at the same time. Will they do it again? Will they ever work again? Like I said, Father Time's completely undefeated, and this is years removed from that. So both guys are even older, and I think they should both stay retired. They're both legends. They're both Hall of Famers. They're both guys that deserve all the accolades, all the respect, all the honor, everything from wrestlers like me, fans everywhere in the world. And hopefully this match did not do anything to damage either one of their legacies. I don't think it did. I mean, it's talked about, especially this spot, but I think both guys, their Hall of Fame careers, their legendary careers are still pretty secure, in my opinion. So, and in my opinion, I really do thank each and every one of you for supporting me here on YouTube, as well as patreon.com/Stevie Richards. Check it out, exclusive content.
So that was the end of Stevie Richards talking about the legendary Goldberg versus the Undertaker, which ended in a botch fest. Now, the thing about it is he was spot on what he was saying, and I think the match should have ended much faster. I'll let you guys let me know what you think of that match. See, that's right. Like, hit that like button. You come in. LeVar, what's up with you? What's going on? Hulkamania will live forever, brother. What do I think about that?
No, brother, it doesn't work for me right now.
Yeah, of course, this is not about Hulk Hogan today. It's about Goldberg and Undertaker. Yeah, you said his didn't look that bad. You're talking about the tombstone. Compared to his other tombstones, Uncle Jackie was pretty brutal. He knocked Goldberg on his head. We could look that back. He hit him on that. He hit him on that head. We can look at that back. We can run that back one more time. He hit him on that.
Power of the dead man, center of the ring.
Matter of fact, I'll even go further than that. I'll even go far as to share the screen, and I'll pull up another way of how he did this particular match. But it was definitely he definitely knocked him on his head. That's the way I see it. And he didn't have to, but he did. Let me get to that right now. Yeah, this was a nasty one. Let me get that right now. Yeah, this was a nasty one, guys. Nasty one. Let's get that right now. Let's see. Okay. Now this is the tombstone. I'm gonna slow it down. Let's play piece by piece. He sets him up.
Power of the dead man, center of the ring. Tombstone.
If you look right here, he did drop to his knees. But if you look, Goldberg's head is right down there. His head is right down there. He did botch it in the way. He got him here to set up, but when he comes down on his knees, his head, it wasn't as like he broke, but it was pretty close. It was inches away. It couldn't got worse. But he did get him right there. His head was right there, if you guys can see that. He got him right there. See the whole thing back.
Power of the dead man, center of the ring. Tombstone pile driver, power of the.
So yeah, it was pretty bad. But I had to slow it down. Laverne said that tombstone was one of the most dangerous moves to execute for real. Yeah, it got so bad, Laverne, that only WWE only allowed Undertaker and Kane to do the tombstone. After the whole, another one that did was the worst tombstone pile driver botch was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Owen Hart in 1997. So yeah, it got real bad. Latino Heat, WWE, salute. Leave well enough alone. Yep, here. Oh, salute to you, good Brad. You just ended your stream over there. Figure 4 TV. You see it now? You see how I slowed it down, Uncle Jackie? That's why I slowed it down for you, because I know it's kind of fast paced. That's why I made sure I slowed it down. And I showed specifically where Goldberg's head fell when he executed the tombstone pile driver, because it looked like he came down at first, but when he dropped to his knees, his head was like right there. And normally we know Undertaker is not known for doing the tombstone like that. But yeah, it was wild though. The DDT in the original version of that move was banned. Yeah, they had to. And another thing was, since we're on here, let's talk. Goldberg was known. He did this move back at WCW. This was against Goldberg versus Mang. I don't think this was a Nitro episode. He Nova dropped you on his head before. This is not Goldberg's first merry-go-round. Look at this.
Boot. Oh, caught him. Ooh, power slam. Boot. Power slam. Power slam. Boot.
See, he fell on his head. So Goldberg has never been a safe worker. And this was the, I don't want to say prime Goldberg, but this was the younger Goldberg, definitely. He's known for doing this. He's known for doing this. But if you look here, this is where it started to go bad. This is where Goldberg went into that post. And this is when he started to bleed. So let's go through this real quick. Let's go through that real quick.
Here comes Goldberg. Undertaker whipped across the ring, hits the turnbuckle hard. Here comes Goldberg.
Yeah, so it got real ugly there. Really, really ugly. You could see Goldberg was brutalized there. And then if you look, not only that, this is the whole part here. If you look how he barely got him up. This is sad though.
To be able to do this to the Undertaker.
Look how he comes down. It looked like Goldberg was about to fall. Look where Goldberg's legs landed. He looked like he couldn't stand up no more. It seemed like Goldberg was going down when he was going down. I mean, come on. This was just not executed right at all. This was definitely bad, Goldberg. With that being said, Goldberg, you deserve one of these. You was getting. You deserve one of these. You deserve this for doing execute. You just way overzealous.
And the future champion.
You shake your happy ass to the back of the line.
Oh. A kick in the head for doing executing that move. You know you couldn't hold Undertaker up. Then he comes down.
Goldberg.
And look how he landed. Look how Undertaker landed right on his head. Could have literally ended that man's life, let alone his career. So yeah, this was bad though. Yeah, you guys hit the like button, you come in here. Oh, hold the phone. We got a super chat alert. Figure 4 TV said, wow, big time facts tonight. You want the open mic. For those you don't know, this is the open mic soundbite we got here.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?
Thank you, Figure 4 TV, for that super chat of $4.99. That's right. Big fact times. This was one of the worst, dangerous matches I've ever seen. Ever. But yeah, let's continue on. It's just, like I said, spots in the match. What I'll do now, I will pull up the, like I said, well, it's WWE footage, properly owned by WWE. So I can't show it to you, but you can hear the audio. And we're going to hear Undertaker's part of this, of him talking about this match. So let's see what Mr. Undertaker got to say. Laverne said they know they too old to risk that suplex. You know what? I agree, Laverne, and I got one answer for that. I agree. Yes.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Yeah, definitely was a very risky move. Definitely risky move. So we're gonna see what Undertaker had to say. This was Undertaker's documentary. If you guys remember, this was back in 2020, a year after this match. This was the last Raw documentary, the interview. Let's see what Undertaker had to say about this particular spot between himself and Goldberg. Goldberg, you something else, man. Could have ended this man's career. But all money isn't good money. I know it's for Saudi Arabia money, but let's see what Undertaker had to say specifically regarding this. And then we'll go on with what Mike Chioda and Booker T had to say as well.
Permanent injury, and so all that stuff comes flooding into your head after something like that happens. And I need to really, I just got to go get on the big plane and fly over there.
They did battle on Monday Night's Raw and Monday Night Raw in the been busted open. They were pillars of their shows. Been busted open when he went into the corner, and he was.
Bill got concussed early on. I'm assuming that. I think that, you know, he had a head injury. When you go on last, you want to be able to deliver, and you want people thinking when they are leaving, like, wow, that was, man, we just watched Goldberg and Undertaker go at it.
There's no way Goldberg's going to be able to do this to the Undertaker. Oh, my God! Goldberg wanted the jackhammer, didn't get all of it.
It was a train wreck. It was not anything he wanted. It's not anything I'm sure Goldberg wanted or the fans wanted.
And now Undertaker with a choke slam to Goldberg. Here's the cover by the dead man, and it's over.
All right, that is the Undertaker talking about the match on the Last Ride documentary on Peacock WWE. His wife Michelle McCool, so you heard in the background, another retired wrestler. So this was crazy though, but yeah, this match definitely could have took a turn for the worse if it had not go down the way it did. See what you guys got to say about it. Laverne said, KDH, I noticed Undertaker tucked his head right before they hit the mat. He did get his head, Laverne, but like I said, similar to his other pile drivers, his head was getting real close there. If he didn't tuck his head, he would completely drop him completely, like on his head, like Goldberg would have been paralyzed. He did get his head a little bit, but barely to enough where it would break his neck. But it was very, very, if you see, it was very close to that mat. It wasn't as bad. He got it just in the nick of time. That's what I'm saying. It was like inches away, similar to how Goldberg was inches away from doing a jackhammer on Undertaker. That's how similar how Undertaker was with the pile driver. Yeah, the timing definitely same a greater injury, both ends, Undertaker and Goldberg for that matter. So yeah, it could have really, really got nasty, and that's the thing about it. But yeah, it was a real nasty injury, and I just hope that, you know, men that do see this, that are hence later down their career, the dream matches should stay just a dream. And because if you are in great shape, don't mean you have to do the match, because it could potentially come to close to things like this, if not worse. So that's the thing I know that I've learned now watching this whole thing, but it definitely could have been a worse situation. And like I said, we're going to see what Booker T talked about this as well on his podcast. So he I think he talked about this for about 10 minutes, but he had things to say too, because everyone was concerned about how it was going down. But Booker T, you already know, another retired wrestler. So let's see what Undertaker, I'm sorry, Booker T has to say about this match, because this was about, I think right after this went down, he mentioned this. So let's pull him up real quick, and then we'll talk about Mike Chioda, and then that'll be it. So let's see what Booker Man got to say. Can you dig that sucker?
Friday afternoon. Saudi Arabia. I tell you, went there Friday, right? Over in Saudi Arabia. I tell you, went there Friday, right?
Friday afternoon, our time. Yeah.
And everybody's talking about the main event, of course. And you know, we got to weigh in on it.
First time ever we saw The Undertaker versus Goldberg.
We talked about that match going down here on the show right here in the Hall of Fame. And what did I say? I said it was going to be what? A dream match. Didn't I say that?
That's what you said.
I said what we're seeing right here with Undertaker and Goldberg is a dream match. This is something that, you know, no one ever thought that they would ever see inside the square circle. But when you got, you know, that kind of money, you know, a big show like that, you know, a history-making moment, and we were just talking about moments just a second ago. When you got a moment, man, you can't miss out on it. Yeah, so both of these guys sign the dotted line and say, hey, let's go get this done. And the thing is, you know, the world is talking about it. The world's talking about it because it wasn't one of the greatest technical, you know, bouts that you ever seen in your life or anything like that.
It's true.
All right, you know what I mean. So let's you know, talk about it. Let's give a little overlay. You know, first and foremost, Bill Goldberg. He's never been known for his technical skills or
not a technical wrestler at all.
No.
No more for energy, intensity, impact.
Almost somewhat like the Ultimate Warrior. But Ultimate Warrior had, you know.
Booker T spot on with that. He definitely spot on. I gotta get one of these for that. That's exactly what remind me of.
And I'm awesome!
Let's get back to what Booker T got to say about this match.
With certain guys, he had a little bit longer matches, you know what I mean? Like with Mach, Hogan, you know, it's a couple of guys. You
Andre.
Know, exactly, he had a couple of matches with. But kind of like the Ultimate Warrior, you know what I mean? So these were guys that were there for mostly their energy level, getting the crowd to a maximum pitch, you know, where the people say, oh, my, this is something different. And I tell you, when Goldberg first stepped on the scene, he was the first one that had a MMA feel to him.
Right.
The music. That right there.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. That right there put him in a position where say, man, people look at this guy, and then he would crack his head, bang, you know what I mean, on the wall, and then he would start bleeding. People say, man, I like this guy.
I mean, the entrance with the cops leading him to the ring.
Exactly, the camera following him all the way through Gorilla. It was awesome.
One of the best entrances. He breathing the fire.
It was, oh man, I don't know how much toxic fumes the boy got in his body, but I used to love watching.
One of the great entrances.
Yeah, it was. And then on the other hand, you got the Undertaker.
The greatest entrance.
Over 20 years of destruction.
Yeah.
A guy who have
almost 30.
Oh man, a guy who is known for his in-ring prowess. A guy who can go out there, perform with the best of them. A guy who can go out there and perform with the worst of them. He's the guy that can, you know, just say for instance, if it was a broomstick, he could take that out there and make it look like it was an actual guy. That's how good.
The best big man of all time.
Of all time.
Without a doubt.
Bar none, no doubt. Now, Saudi Arabia, 103-degree temperature.
All right. Wrestling outside, for those of you who don't know.
Okay, and they're wrestling outside now. It was 94 here, I think, a couple of days ago, and the heat index was 108. So I can imagine if it was 103, the heat index probably would be 115. And me personally, I waited till 6 o'clock to go play golf last week. I'm serious. That's how bad it was out there. So I can only imagine what it felt like in the middle of that ring. Now, I remember working in the Global Wrestling Federation down in Dallas, Texas, the Sportatorium. Summertime, no heat in the building. And it used to be so hot, man. I mean, I'm talking about, it felt like 100-degree temperature inside the Sportatorium. And I used to love it. I swear, I used to go out there, man. It's a torrential downpour. I would be sweating like crazy, man. be so energized. I could work 3 times that night. It didn't matter. And I was like, wow, man. And I can only imagine going and try to do that now in that same arena at 54 years old. I would probably die in the middle of that ring, you know, from exhaustion, from shock, you know what I mean, wondering what the heck am I trying to do. So to see Undertaker in the middle of the ring with Goldberg at 103-degree temperature, that's one thing. Now, let's put another overlay on top of that. Now, Goldberg in that match, he had 3 spears he performed inside the few minutes that they worked. 3 spears. Now, that took a whole lot of you know, planning to say, hey, we're going to do 3 spears in this match. Now, I can imagine that those 3 spears were timed to where they were going to be perhaps 5 minutes apart. You know, and with the heat index, everything just got thrown off. Now, you can plan in your mind, hey, we're going to go out here and do this, and we're going to go out there and do this. Man, let's just take them all around the world. And then all of a sudden, a monkey wrench get thrown into the whole situation as far as, man, we've never dealt with anything like this. Now, I can imagine the Undertaker dealt with, you know, just about everything as far as a wrestling ring or a wrestling event would go. I can almost imagine he have 103-degree temperature. I don't know. I remember we were in Mexico and it was really, really hot and it was sweat. I was sweating like crazy. We were intense outside. And I remember one of the boys, he came over to me and I go, why am I here? That's what I told him. I think it might have been Kurt Angle. I said, why am I here? And I was close to retiring. I was close to quitting at that time. I was close to walking away. And so I know what it's like being in that situation right there. Now, Goldberg, I can only imagine he's never, ever been in a situation like that before. I can imagine he have. Or just say, for instance, we got to go out and work for 15 minutes. We got to work at 103-degree temperature. And I'm cramping up before we even get started.
And throw into it, my last match was 2 years ago.
That too. And myself, I don't think you can just jump off the sofa and actually go out there and pull something. I don't care how much working out he put in. I don't care how much gym time he put in. And I don't care how much he thought he was prepared for that situation. Nothing can prepare him for a situation like that. I wrestled one of my shooters not too long ago, and it was in a nice, cool temperature, air-conditioned building, and I almost died. Almost like somebody come and, you know, pick me up and get me. So I can only imagine what these two guys were out there dealing with. Now, Undertaker, you know, like I said, the best of the best, man. He can go out there and work with anybody. And I can imagine if he was working with somebody like Sheamus, you know, Kevin Owens, you know, he would have been able to, you know, cover a whole lot. But working with someone like Goldberg, and I don't know if he cracked his head on the turnbuckle, on the turnbuckle pole or not. I don't know if he was working us or not, but if he wasn't working us, brother, it seemed like everything went out of the window right after that. And it could have been just the acceleration from him running from one side of the ring to the other, because that's all it takes sometimes, you know what I mean, to blow yourself up. Yeah. You know, and you think you got it.
Brooke is something else, man. Oh man, he being funny. He's being very funny right now. But he got a point though. That heat is nothing to mess with, and that's what it comes down to, because if you don't condition yourself, you will pass out, especially in that weather. So we don't want one of that, because I know if it was me, I couldn't wrestle in that. I would have to pull Hulk Hogan.
No, brother, it doesn't work for me right now.
Yeah, that's way too hot. I bet you Hulk Hogan would have did that in that weather. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, let's continue on, see what Booker T guys say.
said on Twitter he knocked himself out.
Yeah.
When he did that.
You know what I mean?
Which he's actually done like 2 or 3 times before that too.
Well, it seemed like you would learn from the first time. You
Well,
know what I mean? Knocking
But
himself out.
to go back to it, he's about intensity. That's what makes Goldberg.
Yeah.
And if he's not going to be intense, then he's not Goldberg.
Well, that's true too. But like I said, he could have, convinced himself that he could actually go out there and pull that off. And you know what? And I've seen it before. That's what men do. I was just looking at Zab Judah when I had a fight just last week. Friday, New York City, I think it was, and 41 years old, and he still thought he had the juice to go out there and perform. And a guy who I'd never heard of put Zab Judah in the hospital where he had bleeding of the brain, where he could have actually died. That's what you got to understand. What you could do when you was in your 20s and 30s, and for me, even when I was in my 40s, because I was in my 40s at King Booker, the most noble, the most royal, the most majestic king of them all, and I was almost at my peak. I was in my prime. You know what I mean? But try that now and see what happens. Somebody have to carry me out of there, y'all. Hey guys, stick around. We're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back.
All right, that is Booker T talking about the Goldberg and the Undertaker match at Super-Showdown. That is crazy, but how it's mentioned. But like I said, I know Mike Chioda, he said stuff about it too. He's saying that he wished the match would have ended. So I know that sucks from his end. But this is crazy though. But the weather played a major factor in this match. I didn't even realize that the match was played major factor with the weather. It was 103 degrees. Over 100 degrees because Saudi Arabia is super, super duper hot. So that's something that you do not want to take. You do not want to take for granted. That was a bad weather. I mean, imagine doing all this in the hot weather. I mean, imagine all the stuff going down. Because when the choke slam came up, it just bam.
Undertaker with a choke slam to Goldberg. Here's the cover by the dead man.
So that's how bad it got for the match. That was the rush finish I was talking about. That was the rush finish I meant by Goldberg and Undertaker. It just got that bad at that point. But yeah, it was nothing to mess with, guys. These got worse and worse. It was an ugly match. Like I said, I have one more part of the whole thing. Mike Chioda. It's the last part.
What?
Some scary moments too.
And he was the referee in this match, and he talked about what was going on between Goldberg and Undertaker. It's the last interview I'm gonna cover. I want people to see this as well, to see what went down between these two. And this is Mike Chioda with Chris Van Fleet. Put that up real quick. Not a long interview. Let's see.
You've been there in some scary moments too. And I think that Undertaker versus Goldberg,
Right.
that could have been real scary.
Yeah, I mean, the travel was brutal, Chris. I mean, it was brutal. We get into to Saudi Arabia. I remember we got in the night before. Everybody was on a total different time zone. Sometimes jet lag kicks in like the day later when these long trips occur and stuff. And I remember, we just didn't go to Saudi. We came off of TV and we did this, then we had to go to Saudi. Might have come off some live events probably that weekend into TV, then into Saudi. So we got to Saudi Arabia, and I remember people weren't really getting to sleep. Like, you know, you didn't get in there at 9, 10 o'clock and go, okay, I'm getting ready to go right to sleep, because you slept a lot on the plane.
Yeah.
Time zone's different. I remember it was about 125 degrees. And I remember we went out to the malls didn't open until 9 o'clock at night. And a lot of stuff didn't open until 9.
It was colder at night.
It was just not even colder, but it was maybe about 100 or 90, 95 degrees at night, 100. So it was just, the sun went down, and that's when people went to work, construction and stuff like that, their hottest time of the year. So I remember a lot of us didn't get good sleep. We get to the arena, we're there all day. He does Taker, and I believe we went on at like midnight. And I remember going through the locker rooms at that, 9, 10 o'clock.
Did you guys know they went on at midnight during that time? Man, that's late. That's maybe another reason why the match went bad. The time was so late. Midnight, literally the next day. Let's continue on.
Show was going on. The show went for a while. Everybody's sleeping in the locker rooms, passed out because of jet lag. Everybody was tired, man. So I know we were exhausted totally going into midnight.
Yeah.
I was. Taker, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But, and some people were always saying, Goldberg came out of the dress room and was hitting his head on the thing, which I was in the ring at the time. So, and I didn't see, they showed a little gash when he came out. But Goldberg was fine to me, because when he came in the ring, he called the whole match back to me. When he got in the ring, because Taker had this, phenomenal entrance. It was awesome entrance. Of course, it takes like 10 minutes, which was, that's one of the best entrances in wrestling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it is the best.
And he called, and he goes, "Hey, let me call this back to you." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he was running back spots to spots, and it was cool. I wanted to hear it too, so I made sure I had everything, straight. Nothing changed before the match.
Yeah.
So everything was good until he hit that turnbuckle in the post, and then it just went on down from there, man. So
yeah, he couldn't get Undertaker up for the jackhammer.
No.
That was
scary.
Real scary.
It was real scary, man. And if you watch that match back again, when Taker at the finish on the end of that match, he's just sitting up, looking around, pissed, just kind of looked upset, frustrated, because I know Taker got jammed up a little bit too, so
sure.
It almost like he went out of character right there. It wasn't in his normal Undertaker character. He had a lot on his mind. He was just looking around. I'm just sitting on the outside of the ring going, "Oh shit, that man's pissed," But thank God everything worked out. Everything we got through that night. And I remember trying to talk to Gorilla, going, "What do I do? What do I do, man? Do I stop it? He's getting worse. He's getting worse. He's getting worse." Billy's like, "Stand by, Kyoto." I'm like, "Guys, let me know. He's getting worse." Because he didn't come off the rope. He was on the rope one time. He wouldn't come off it. I'm like, "Yo, when I first asked him, he's like, I'm okay. But then he just started getting worse, as the concussion really kicked in. And I didn't hear anything from Gorilla at that point. I'm thinking, holy shit, I know they paid us a lot of money to be here. I know they paid the talent, I think, a lot of money. I think Goldberg got a couple million. This one got this. I got my 200.
$200.
$200.
Yeah.
No, but it was like, they paid us a lot of money.
Sure.
I'm thinking, we got to finish this like the old school way, and we did finish it barely, and Dead Man's leader of the ring, man. He's the godfather of business. So
sure.
Anybody to be in there with, it would be Taker, that's for sure.
People are going to want to see you fall when you get to the top. We lost last year, and we started Revenge Tour.
All right, that is Mike Chioda talking about the Undertaker Goldberg match of 2019. He is talking about the Super-Showdown match. But yeah, guys, what you guys thought of the match? This was crazy though. That it went from man, it was so much riding on this match, and it become the worst match in Super-Showdown history. What you guys have to say? Booker T, 5-time champ. How about Patrick Clark, formerly known as Velveteen Dream, CET Sprinter 2500, Welter Locker Room? What about him? I mean, the live is about Undertaker versus Goldberg. How does Velveteen Dream fall into the whole patches? I mean, Velveteen Dream's career is over. I mean, he ain't come back to WWE due to his background, but that's another story for another day. Laverne said the first wrestler with dreadlocks. Yeah, I think Booker T was. Yeah, because after Booker T, then we saw after Booker it was Kofi. Kofi was after Booker. So I would say, yeah, definitely Booker was the first one that I at least remember. Booker, King Booker. But yeah, this was a good one. The match, this was a very important match, and it shows that, as Stevie Richards mentioned earlier, father time, past injuries, weather, time, all made a difference factor. And of course, you know, Undertaker, Goldberg being in their early 50s at that time, early to mid 50s. I think Undertaker's 59 now, and Goldberg's 57. By the time Goldberg was 52, Undertaker was 54. So this is definitely, you know, they're not even. And this is when Vince McMahon was still in charge. So a lot of things have changed. Vince McMahon's not in charge of WWE no more. So Triple H is over creative and a whole bunch of other new management. They wouldn't even dream of asking Undertaker or Goldberg to do a match. WWE now, fast forward 5 years later, has plenty of talent for men's division, young and veteran wise. They wouldn't even ask no veterans to do this. Vince McMahon was clearly doing this for a big check from Saudi Arabia and superstardom, but there's no need for that no more. And also, there's no more Super Showdown, as mentioned earlier as well. We have Crown Jewels still. We still have King and Queen in the ring. It was Night of Champions. I don't even see a Super Showdown no more. So times have definitely changed since this match. The regime of who's in charge has changed. Everything else of that matter. So we will never see this kind of match again in WWE. They won't even dream of it. They know the circumstances and the risks that they're taking, putting two aged veterans in a match like this under these circumstances and paying that big payoff. So all the legendary wrestlers, all the veterans getting a big payoff for doing a match like this. That is over and over. The streak of that over.
The streak is over.
The streak is over that. There'll be no more of those big paychecks, payoffs, doing a big Saudi Arabia match. Now for guys like Undertaker and Goldberg, especially Goldberg. So that's a wrap. There will be no more of that moving forward because you don't need it. And then, too, that's going to upset the fans. We don't want to see something like that, especially now, especially the way WWE is going. That'll be the last thing we want to see as fans. We do not want to see that kind of match going in because it's going to make things much, much worse for that matter. So nobody wants to see that at all. You can forget about it. It'll be the last thing you're thinking about. But other than that, though, guys, that's all I have regarding the worst match in Super Showdown history. I am talking about the match of Goldberg versus the legendary The Undertaker. You guys let me know what you think of this match, of the botches, of the moves between Goldberg and Undertaker in the live chat, also on the playback. I greatly appreciate it. We'll cover more behind the matches, and other stuff here at the locker room. Glad you guys able to see the locker room listed tonight. You guys get back to what you do normally. Soon two videos will pop up. One will be, should Mandy Rose ever wrestle again? Next video will be when Hulk Hogan exposes NJPW, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling. Until then, guys, it is OUT.